I feel like it's kind of hard to be successful in your 20s nowadays with so much going on and so many distractions. But I think it's still possible. I'm 23. I've been able to do most of what I wanted to do in life. And I think I've met a lot of people that are my age, early 20s. A lot of us are confused, rightfully so, right? And there's not really direction in life to go unless you have someone in your life that can be a mentor. I think having a mentor is so important. It really is. And I've been, you know, blessed with the people that I've met that have pointed me towards the right direction, right? And there's been many people, not just one, right? Because throughout your life, you might have one that stays, your back pocket. It's always there, but you'll meet different people that have different types of advice. And really, unfortunately, when you meet the wrong people, you will go down the wrong path. It's hard to recognize that when you're young, who's the right people to be around, who's the wrong people. And I wouldn't say exactly someone may be wrong. Maybe they're just not, meant to be a mentor in that space, right? Someone could be a really good mentor at basketball, right? Or a sport that you like, but maybe they're bad mentor in regards to, emotional understanding of yourself or really maybe even career advice, right? So each mentor may have different specialties, you could say. So I guess one of the reason I'm making this video is to kind of give some perspective to people like around my age. I'm still learning, and I think one of the things you'll have to admit to yourself is that you will not know things until you get older. As much as it you hate to admit that, hey, you may be smarter than someone that's in their 30s and 40s, but they're just life lessons that you may never learn until you get to that point. Even if you do, you still might not learn it, right? It just takes time and experience, and you want to be able to be around people that are older, right? That are where you want to be. You really don't want to be around people that are older and they are not, the type of person you would want to become, right? So just be careful with the people you meet, and it's hard because you're born into a community that you didn't ask for, right? But there's a lot of people out there that want to guide people and that want to help people. Like myself, I'm in my early 20s, but I'm able to get a house, have a fiance, have a dog, and all these things that I've always wanted in my life, and it makes me happy, right? And we have excess money every single month, so we don't have to worry about debt. Well, actually, having excess money doesn't mean you don't have to worry about debt. We just have no debt besides our house, which we're very thankful for. And we've gotten a lot of help as well, right? So it helps to have family, and I won't lie. This house, my mom gave me 50% down payment. She made 20,000. I put up the other 20,000. But I could have still bought it without her. But it really makes it a lot easier, right? So I am blessed with the gifts that I've gotten, and there's people out there that I know that have nobody, right? That makes it really difficult, you know. So I try to do what I can, right? Now a friend of mine it's unfortunate that he's 21, right? He's addicted to gambling, and he just can't get away from it. His family gambles too, and they're in a lot of debt, right? I'm a weird person. I think we've known each for less than 6 months. I met him through basketball, but I have, I guess, I weirdly have a lot of empathy for people that are, I guess around my age, and I feel as though when you're younger, you have an opportunity to change. Even when you're older, you still do, but I think you have I don't know, you have a longer time span, to make that change, and you have a better chance, I guess. Not saying you don't have a chance when you're older, but just I can relate more with people around my age, and I want to get them to the right path. But I mean, I had a conversation with this guy, late at night, and I do things that most friends won't do, right? Which is to really be real with you, ask you about your life, right? And some people aren't meant to have those conversations. I think, unfortunately, he's one of those people that aren't ready for those conversations, right? and he has some time frame to fix his life. I think we all, no matter how in debt we are, I think there's something we can do, right? Well, maybe I'll take it back. Maybe there is something you can't do, right? But I guess my thought process is always there's no point in blaming the world, right? If you have no control over it, why care? Just focus on when you do have control over. And it's easier said than done. You know, I've been, thinking about posting videos more, and it's all in my control. But then, it's easy to think that, oh, I just don't have the time or have all this going on, right? It's just excuses, right? And we hate to think negatively of ourselves. But you don't have to blame yourself for things all the time, but you do have to take accountability, right? So I don't know. That's my thought process today. I'm just thinking about how I don't know. I want to help more people. And I think I want to start this channel to focus on that, give advice to younger people. And I love these conversations. I'm in finance, right? And I've been ingrained in my head since I was 19 when I started working at a bank to really start to think about, goals, the future. And my God, the future is hard to think about when you're young. Even I still have a hard time because every action I take today impacts my future, right? So it's impossible to really be perfect throughout your day. And don't try to be. Just try to do a few things, right? Look, I am in a progression of personal growth. I have a therapist and I have a career coach as well at work. So I have a lot of people that are external, that's not in my personal life, that can give me, feedback and direction that's, not emotionally tied, right? And I don't feel like they have a stigma against me because they're a person that I don't know, right? If I'm talking to my fiance or something about something about something I want to talk about, it's a little different, right? We have emotional ties. But I think being young, you should have somebody, preferably someone you don't know, like a therapist, that you can talk to about all your problems and they can give you an outside perspective, right? And hopefully you get someone good, right? So anyways, I really want to just continue making videos and just talk about ways that, if you're in your early 20s, what can you do to be, the best you, right? And I'm still working on myself right now. So I'd love to meet like-minded people that are on their own personal growth, career growth journey, right? And see what we can do, right? The first step in growing and being the best person you can be is recognizing that you are not. Recognizing your flaws and not being afraid to, take them head on, right? One of the issues we have at a young age, we feel insecure. As much as we hate, a lot of us hate the word insecurity. And I get that. I don't like to think that I'm insecure about things, but we all are, right? Even I'm sure these CEOs are insecure about some things, and that's why they have big ass egos, right? But don't be afraid to admit it. You gotta admit, then you gotta work on it, and then, that's how you break it down. But anyways, keep taking one step at a time, and I will see you on the next one.